Welcome, dear students. This session focuses on the elements that make a language. I hope and expect by the end of this session, you would have a grasp over the elements that constitute a language. Well, my dear students, the most basic elements that make a language are the words that a language has. And the second basic element is grammar. The third thing that we talk about in this session, by the way, is the context in which these words and grammar are used. Right now, focusing on the words, I would say the context in which words are used is vital and crucial. So, for instance, the word light, it would have different meanings. Light can be a source of light, for instance, a source of illuminating something, and it can be, a shade, for instance, that is an opposite of dark. But it would be the context that would determine that. Whether it is heavier or lighter in weight you are referring to, or you are using it as a source of light, would depend, for instance, on the context. Meanings ascribed to words change constantly. What do I mean by that? Not only that sometimes a word would have more than one meanings, but also these meanings keep on changing through the times, through the history. In fact, if you trace back the history of English language, you would realize that the meanings of a lot of words have undergone a lot of change. When it comes to grammar, it is no longer thought of simply as a set of rules governing structure and usage. Well, there was a time when grammar was defined as a set of rules that would govern the sentence structure. However, today what we believe is that grammar is something more than that. In fact, today it is thought that grammar is a recurring language patterns system, and the ways those patterns function in different cultures and subcultures. So, these patterns of grammar that were initially thought to be, the same for one language, irrespective of the culture or the context in which it was used. Today it is thought that the grammar also varies from culture to culture. When we talk of the words, in fact, the words are used to communicate. And to know the meanings of a sufficient number of words in a particular language is necessary for a speaker or a user of a language. So, for instance, if you want to use English, if, for instance, right now I want to use English as a means of communication, I need to have a set of words, of vocabulary of English language that is sufficient to convey the ideas or the thoughts or the feelings that I want to convey. So this is the very basic set of tools that a speaker needs to have before he or she can use that particular language. Each word can have more than one defined meanings and agreed upon meanings. When I say agreed upon meanings, actually what I mean is the arbitrary nature of meanings. So, if we agree that what is a laptop and what is a PC and what is a tablet, then, that is how it would be understood by the whole community and it would be used. Otherwise, if the sender, that is the speaker, has a different sense of the meaning of a particular word and the receiver has a different sense of the meaning of that word, of course, there would be a lot of confusion and the right meaning would not be conveyed. So the crucial point is that the meaning is known to both the sender and the receiver. By sender, I mean either the speaker or the writer, and by receiver, I mean either the listener or the reader. And it is necessary that whenever a word is used, it represents the things that is known that it represents. If there is a confusion in that, the meaning would not be clear. Each of the four activities of human language, that is listening, speaking, reading, and writing, that are sometimes called skills, the four basic skills of language as well, they depend upon vocabulary, that is words, and grammar, and both of these are used in a context. When a word has more than one meaning, or when the meaning itself is not very precise, that leads to a variable degree of ambiguity. However, what clarifies or what clears that ambiguity is the context that tells us what is it that the sender exactly means. This is why there is a great significance attached to context. Despite the possibility of having more than one meanings, a word is more often precised than other methods. I would give you the example, for instance, of an abstract idea, for example, honesty. Now, this one word can convey a lot of meaning associated with it, which cannot be, for instance, conveyed easily otherwise. What does it mean? Human language and words that are the basic tools within this language, they have this particular characteristic of efficiency to convey meanings very efficiently in a precise manner. The second characteristic is of convenience. Through words, it becomes far easier to communicate. Sometimes you would have played certain games as a child where, through signaling and through gestures, you would have to convey an idea to another friend in your group. And you would have realized how difficult sometimes it is. So language empowers us to convey with convenience. And what does grammar do? Grammar provides assistance by using the context and by putting the words in an order, in a structure. This help that grammar provides, it further adds to the meaning. So if we change the structure, the meaning changes. Look at the simple examples of, she is beautiful. And if we change the structure, is she beautiful? Or if we add something to the structure, she is not beautiful. So, the meaning keeps on changing through, these variations in grammar. And this word order really matters in conveying what we want to convey. In case of most of the natural languages, the gradual and haphazard evolution of grammar has created a lot of problems. Despite the fact that grammar is, defined as a set of rules, still, there are certain exceptions in grammar where rules do not work. That is why, as an adult, to learn the language that you do not know as a child becomes very, very difficult. And, when grammar includes as many irregularities as, for instance, in the case of English language, it really becomes difficult to learn it once you are grown up.